Hey guys, all right, so here goes an analysis example. I'm not going to dive into too much detail on the coaching instruction as it's not going to really apply to each of you individually. I just want you to see the screens and go through the value of some of the information and see what the potential is and how we'll be doing it. And then from there, we can have a discussion as to if you see the benefits for you, what the possibility is, or just get you upgraded right into an active resilience lifestyle coaching process. So here we go. On the last video, we talked about how there's a group dashboard that looks something like this. It's going to be the sum of everyone's information. So I'm going to have a total readiness average. I'm going to have a total heart rate variability average. We'll have a coefficient of variation average, heart rate average for everyone, signal quality average. So basically it's an executive summary over everyone's information. And then there's a few individual screens to where I can click on it and see it gives a list of everyone who's yellow, everyone who's red, everyone who's green, how many people who have taken it, who hasn't. You can see the number and the percentage of the basis and everything like that. It's a good summary to start on. When it comes to the coaching process, this will be one of the screens we look at. This shows me today's information. So this is what today was. I was a parasympathetic 8, which is green. That means that my reading today was a little bit higher than my 7-day average, and we can see this here. Today it was a 71. My baseline or 7-day average is 69. So I'm 2 points higher than what I've been for the week. And I'm 4 points higher than what I am for lifetime. So what these numbers right here tell me is over my life, over about 5 years, I'm a 67. My 7-day average, so the last 7 days, I'm a 69. So over the last 7 days, I'm a little bit more parasympathetic than I am usually. And then today, I'm more so parasympathetic than I have been for this week. So I'm having a primarily focused rest, digest, growth, recovery week more than not. And that's over time is a good thing. The small differentials are a good thing. The numbers themselves are quite good. As I said in the prior video, Shannon and I work quite hard. Not hard, we work very focused. We know what to do, we practice them. We trial and experiment on things, and we watch our numbers. And if our numbers do good, then we know that we're doing well for ourselves. And if not, then we change and we do something else. But 67 is a decent lifetime average, especially for someone that does not like running or enjoy cardio very much. The baseline of 69 is good. I've been working this week hard, a little bit more on my cardiovascular, and 71 I'm pleased with as well. The bug in the system's not giving me the coefficient of variation for today, but I'll get that when we go over and look at my individual trend or my individual data, which we will look at both of them. My heart rate today was a 58. They should be getting some improvements in to show me, again, my historical heart rate. I should see a lifetime average and a baseline of the last 7 days to compare that to. And you can see that it's down a little bit from yesterday. I think yesterday was 59. Yesterday, my heart rate variability was a 71. So we'll see that in just a second. It's important to know that the signal quality was good. So it was. I recorded and logged my exercise when I work out. So yesterday, I think yesterday's exercise was 45 minutes and scaled to 6 out of, no, today's was 45 minutes and scaled 6 out of 10. My baseline consistency is okay. It always will be because we shift week to week. So over time, my readings differ a little bit in time. But what matters is when I get up is when I do it. So I'm getting up a little bit earlier the weeks I work in the morning than when Shannon works in the morning. And then so that causes a little bit of offset, no big deal. My power is pretty good today. It's 15,500. So I've got a very strong autonomic nervous system signal. The split is 13,000 to 2,000. So my ratio is 5.5. Honestly, that's not optimal. Optimal for when you wake up in the morning is 2 or less. That says that you got a good recovery. What you'll see when we look at my trend is my sleep last night sucked. And that displays in my numbers here. I have a little bit stronger LF frequency, which is the stress mode most significantly, but I'm guessing my high frequency, which is parasympathetic, is actually lower than it otherwise would have been, because you can see here, my low frequency signal is up 73, 72.5%, whereas my high frequency is up by 6. So I was wrong on that. I've got a stronger stress drive signal than my parasympathetic is elevated. So stress is elevated. I did not reset and recover well. I was up most of the night, and that it shows with that high number of the ratio, and we can track that over time to make sure that I'm not getting higher or going out of whack on different things. So that's today. So what's the week look like? Well, looking at the week, you can see that I've been green 6 times, yellow 1 time. You should not be green all the time. You should not be red all the time. There should be some yellows and reds, but they shouldn't be of a very high frequency. So again, these numbers ought to be roughly the same, because now I'm looking at my week. For this week, you're looking at calendar week. So this is just looking at a couple of days. This is looking at, can't remember if it starts Sunday or Monday, but today is Tuesday. So it's just a couple of days in here. So it's probably Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The baseline on a revolving week is 69 and 67, like we discussed. Again, the bug on the HRV, they're trying to fix that. Heart rate is 59 on average for the week so far. My exercise on the week is 4.5 hours. Average intensity is 6, so pretty good, not too bad. The frequency numbers do not change for a weekly average. Again, that I'm looking to get them to change on. And then that ratio stays the same. So pretty good. It's what we expected from the today view. Now for the month. So now look at what's called the allostatic loading for the month. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here is allostasis is the effort that your body puts forth to maintain all your variables, their normal numbers, which is called homeostasis. Homeostasis is keeping everything in balance and the way your body is most happy. Well, in order to maintain that, I'm sure you can imagine things are changing all the time. So your body's having to make all these adjustments, which is why a variable heart rate is very healthy and very powerful, is your body's able to adapt and respond almost immediately and in a proper strength and manner for whatever's going on. If it can't do that, then you lose that battle a little bit. So allostasis is the energy put forth for that. Allostatic load is the cumulative allostatic effort over some time, weekly or monthly. So looking at my month reading, my heart rate variability average for the month is 67. My lifetime average is 67. So for the month, I'm dead on with who I normally am. So therefore, there's almost zero cumulative allostatic load. I've handled my stress well. All the stress that's come at me, I've handled it. I've bounced back, and I'm maintaining my average. That's really healthy. That's good. My baseline over the last 7 days is 69. So I'm coming back up a little bit. Hopefully, I hope that continues. I'd love to see my lifetime average go over 70. Average heart rate is 60, a little bit high for me. It should be lower, preferentially by, I don't know, 5 points. 60 is still good and healthy. It's not personally where I want it, which is why, 2 years ago when I injured my ankles really badly, I've not done much cardio at all. And that's a focus this year, is to get my cardio back in and get my heart rate back down to where I like it to be, which is under 55. The month I worked out 22 1/3 hours, and the average intensity was a 6 out of 10. I get a 6 out of 10 because I record all my walks also, and walks are like a 1 or a 2. So that really lowers things down quite a bit. 22 hours is a little low for me. I would like to see it more. You think about it, if I'm doing something on average an hour a day, every day of the month, I should see 30 hours. And then some runs are a little bit longer. Some days I walk and run, so that's like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I preferentially target about 35 to 40 hours of exercise a week because, again, I log everything in there for that. So anyway, that is the day, week, and month summary page. It's a lot of information as far as how we're doing. This is kind of the dashboard, you know. So let's take a look at the next stage. All right, welcome back. So now we're looking at the individual trend. We were on the individual dashboard, which is the dash, you know, it makes sense. Now looking at trending. So this is going to be the graphing. The data is a table of information. So this is really cool. We can look at 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, or all time. And we've been using the Elite HRV system for about 2.5 years. We were using the Bioforce system for about 2.5 years prior to that. So out of our 5 years, only 2.5, maybe 3 is in this one. So I have the option of selecting the metadata for sleep and exercise. I do log that, and you can see right here, bad sleep. My last 2 nights had been bad sleep, so that's starting to take its toll. And then my exercise effort and perceived intensity and time. This was a 3-hour, 30-minute, 2 intensity exercise. So that was a walk or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, so you can see I don't vary a whole lot. This gives me my HRV, my average HRV based on the numbers over here, and then the colors for what I was. I've had 2 yellows in the prior 2 weeks. And then I can look at my trend over a month. This is really powerful for what we can look at on this. We should be looking at the red line, the trend. It should stay level or go up over time. So you can see how that dance goes on. I've had a red day, several yellows through time as you know, struggling, working your way through. So it's not stress that gets you. It's how you handle stress, what you think of it, how you respond to it. That's what matters. You know, are you coming back from it? So clicking on all, here's all my readings over time. You want to get rid of that readiness color distraction. And then there you go, looking at it. So you can look at that screen, you can see it's horizontal or maybe going up a little bit over time. That's exactly what you want. I want to delay aging and the effects of aging. And the variability of your heart rate is something that is directly corresponding to age, chronological age. So if I can stay young, I'm keeping my heart rate up, my heart rate variability, I'm sorry. So let's go back and look at 1 month of data. 1 month of data. So HRV, 7-day HRV, let's look at heart rate and average heart rate over time. So there you go. I did go through a phase where my heart rate was, you know, for me, elevated. You know, a couple of days it varied up and down. And then I got back into gear right after the turn of the year. So that's what having some wine over the holidays does to you. You know, some days higher, some days lower, but it elevated my average. And then on this day, you know, things started down. I started seeing the reward of dialing things back in again. And then now it's pretty normal and dialed in. So take those back off. My coefficient of variance. So you can see I was green line bouncing around quite a bit. So I was pretty high on my variance. I was up to a 7, which is upper threshold of good and healthy. So for me, that was pretty high. And then it's dropped down over time as it's kind of things are getting dialed in. Looking at 3 months, again, this day was an 8. So, you know, up there pretty high back in November or so, but you can also see the green wigging up and down. Whatever that was going on, I had some pretty hard swings there. Dropped back down, went back up. But you can see how that coefficient of variance directly relates to how heavy that's swinging. That's extra load that your body has to figure out a way to handle. So coming down here, looking at PNN 50s. So looking at this over time, this is kind of what it looks like. It varies, but you want it to be up. You want that percentage number to be up. My lowest number is a 14 right there. An 11, that's after bad sleep. So that's normally what I should see. And this is the benefit if you track your sleep and record it or track your exercise. When I've got that metadata turned on, if I see that your PNN or your SDNN or your power is low, but things aren't right, then I look in here and I see that your sleep quality was bad, the duration was 4 hours, this is 6.5. Your exercise intensity was a 10, something like that. That makes sense, and I don't necessarily need to follow up unless I know something more about you and I want to ask a question. But in general, you see those days. So you're looking to play detective. I'm looking to play detective with you and say, all right, what's the reason? What's going on? Why are these numbers getting worse? Why are they not getting better? What's the haps? So the end-to-end 50, so you can see the number, all my readings are the same duration of time. So it makes sense that the graph follows the same profile, and it does. Here's the SDNN. So right there you can see it's the lighter green, but SDNN kind of follows the same line, and it should. There are times with some people that they do not, and those anomalies beg a question of follow-up of what's going on. So my SDNN is 134, 88. So I'm riding well above that minimum healthy threshold of 20. Under 20 is a very important point for the medical field. We're not medical, we're more health field oriented. So looking for healthy numbers, I love to see things above a 50. I don't have a reason for that. But the end-to-end 50, there's reasons that clinicians and everyone have that 50 millisecond time interval. So I've kind of adopted that as my SDNN threshold of what I want people to have is more than 50. If you're consistently lower than 50, I'm kind of watching things. Total power. So again, what anomaly of power? Here's some high power going on. So something very strong is going on and the signals are going up that day, going down around. So there's nothing absolute you can see. It's me looking at correlating data and figuring out what's going on. Diving, different, going down. Where's an anomaly happening? Looking at low frequency power. Let me get rid of this distraction, PNN 50. So there you go, looking at that. And that correlated with the total power. I'm really interested in the ratio of things. So what's your ratio look like? I'm kind of all over the place, and I bet you it correlates to my sleep. Right there, bad sleep, and I have a low ratio, 0.66. My body's trying to recover. High ratio of 13. So again, that's going to cause me to look and see what's the HF, what's the LF, and how do they relate to each other? Because 13, that's a big number. Over here's a big one. That's 18. That's huge. So I've got to look at things. But am I responding well? Well, it's a huge amount of power, and then I drop back down to 4. I creep up to 10, back down. So yeah, whenever I get high, it gets back down, it gets low. So that's not bad. That's a good thing. It's, being out on one day is no big deal. Being out for a long period of time is something that we want to pay attention to. So there's looking at low frequency and high frequency combined. So, here's a day where they both go up. Here's a time where they're both going down. So, what's going on? If they're both going up, I have a big jump in power. If they differentiate, then I have something else going on as far as one of them is impeded from the other one. Like right here, the red is high frequency. High frequency is staying pretty much the same, but I have every other day almost a spike in low frequency, and low frequency is increasing. So my stress is increasing. Well, that's also corresponding to an increase in my HRV here. So what's that mean? Well, I get in to start checking things out and see what's going on. Here it's spiking up and down, but it's staying on average. This is staying on average. So total frequency should be a sum of that. So a lot to look at on heart rate variability, and all of it is cause effect. There's stress on your body. This is detecting stress on your body for all causes, no matter what. And once we measure that, then we've got all these dashboard items that show indicators to different things. It's the best way I can correlate it is to your car. Your car might be driving a little funny, or you might not even notice anything, but you look at the dashboard and one of the gauges is out of whack. Well, maybe the gauge is bad. Maybe that's showing you something that's coming. It's the first presentation of something that's coming down the road. that's getting ready to go bad. There might be something really down low that you don't know about, that this is the first thing that's cropping up. Well, I personally think it's pretty darn nice to have these gauges that point things out to me and allow me to focus my look and try to correct things before they're really, truly issues. So let's go take a look at my individual data for a second. All right, finishing up on the individual analysis. Here's the individual data. You can see I've got 40 pages of information. And this is the same view you saw in the intro, where I was looking at readiness, the autonomic balance, the actual HRV number, the percentage of NN50s, the standard deviation for those numbers, my 7-day average, my coefficient of variation. I love this table because this allows me, I'd love to see it all on individual charts, but I'm sure you saw when I started doing some of those graphs, it really depends on what scale is assigned to it. Now I can look at things and really kind of figure things out. The only thing that's not on here that I have choice for is exercise. You can see I can pick all these different things. I don't have some of them picked, but I have most of them because they matter. And here's the different days. I'm currently on 123 or 4 continuous day reading trend, and Shannon and I were that way. We miss maybe 5 or 6 days out of the year. You never know what an important day is, so we get it all. You can see my coefficient of variance was up there around 6, and kind of on average it was in the 5s and 4s, 6, 5s, and then I've dropped it down. It's getting back down. I usually live about in the 3 to 2. Right now I'm pretty tight at 1.7, 1.8. I'm sure something's going to happen that's going to drive that back up, and that's fine. Because again, these are all just arrows and indicators. You know, over the last 20 days roughly, you know, I've been mostly green. I've had a couple of yellows, stress, parasympathetic. My numbers are roughly pretty much the same, but on average it's increasing. So pretty good. My percentage of signals, you can see back at the beginning of the year when my numbers were lower and it's a little bit more compounded cumulative stress over the holidays, we got lower numbers, 15, really low. Then I jumped up into the 30s. There's 50, a couple low 27s, and then I'm up in the 30s. 30s are pretty good. 20s honestly are pretty good. I'm just competitive, and I want the best numbers and good numbers. 50, that's pretty strong parasympathetic drive. Standard deviation, you can see here, this is a really important number, and I rank pretty good on that. I'm happy with these. I love anything that's over 100 milliseconds, and most of them are. This one's just under, so, you know, all said and done, pretty good, not too bad. My heart rate, couple of days I've done really well. I love having it right down in the 50s and stuff. This was awesome these days, and then it jacked back up a little bit. So I mean, anything can cause that. It's the long-term trend that matters. My brain engages sometimes, so I can compare where I am here with the stress number and see that was my HRV down a little bit with my heart rate up a little bit. That's stress. I was probably thinking about something. Probably thinking we've been doing redecorating and redesigning of our workspaces and environment. It probably had something going on with that. But now things are starting to get better as I'm starting to get back task oriented and working on projects. So maybe that's what that is reflective of. Total power. You can see your total power swings like crazy. So again, on average, where is it? So I'm 7,000, 12,000, 6,000, 7, 14, 10, 9, you know, all those, nowhere near below 1,000 and stuff. So all said and done, you know, pretty good. My high frequency, low frequency, I can dig into all those types of things. I'm not going to right now. What's more important is taking a look at your ratio and seeing where that is. And again, you know, from 9 down to 5.5 to 2. So when I swing up, I swing it back down. What's this mean? All this means I'm doing pretty good. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect and I've got nothing to work on, because I certainly do. We work long hours. We work a lot of days. We take very few off. There's no one knows everyone's total story. We have a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we look at and do, but what do? We value our health pretty highly, so we do a lot towards that. We try to be pretty consistent on our exercise. We try to be pretty consistent in healthy food choices. We try to be pretty consistent in getting our water in. We try to be smart and not excessive in the supplements that we take, that they're purpose driven and not just kind of random add stuff in type of things. We work very hard on our sleep. We go to bed at the same time together. We get up at the same time together. So we cycle our lives. So that joins in. I'm sure you can imagine the amount of difficulty if one person gets up at 4 and the other person gets up at 7. Well, guess what? You're both getting up at 4 no matter what. And likewise, if that person getting up at 4 goes to bed at 9, but let's say that's Shannon and I wanted to watch a movie and I stayed up till midnight. If I'm coming in at midnight, I can do my darndest, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to wake her up, and that's going to ruin her sleep and make her next day pretty sorry. So we work together in that. What else? We have essential oils inside the house and around that we have and stuff. We're always testing and trying things to work on our HRV, our frequency power. This is the data that drives a lot of what we decide to do. If we do something that we think is healthy and we notice that it has a negative effect, you know, I value my health more so that whatever it is, it's gone. We're not doing it, or we're cutting it back and adjusting. You know, maybe it's not absolute and complete. So that's what we're looking to work with you guys on, is play detective, find out where your numbers are. And if they need to be better, try to identify ways that are acceptable to you, that you value and you want to get those numbers up, indicative of a more healthy, more resilient level. I know that as you get your numbers up higher, you feel better. As you get your power up, you feel better. And I think we all want to feel better. We all want to move better. That's why you guys are with us as far as exercise and health coaching. So you're going to see this coming at you for the next couple of weeks. And then near the end of the 3rd week or in the 3rd week, we're going to be following up, finding out if this is something you like, if it's value added, if you would like to add it into the process. It does take a lot of time. It's going to take more conversation between us. It's hugely, infinitely valuable. It will cost a little bit more because of the effort and the education and the process that we are implementing it. But, you know, honestly, regardless of the cost, it would be worth it, because it will save doctor's visits. It will increase the quality and length of your life. And you'll just feel better because you know you're doing stuff and you got the measurements right here to show you. So take a look at it, watch it, enjoy the complementary analysis and coaching. I hope at a minimum that it educates you on areas you can focus on, whether you choose to continue on or with us or do it on your own. I really hope everyone does it no matter what. So let's enjoy the next couple of weeks, ask some questions, feedback in. We're going to be sending this as individual videos to each of you guys so that it's private, and then the communications will be private also. So have a great day and week, and first one's coming out in a couple of days.